responses. The member from Kenora-Rainy River.
Thank you, Speaker. It's an honor to stand up and speak on behalf of the New Democratic Caucus to mark National Aboriginal Languages Day, which will occur on March 31st. This day was established in 1989 by the Assembly of First Nations to support Aboriginal languages across our country. It is important not only because it preserves culture and helps strengthen one's identity, but because it helps to preserve the history of our nation's First Peoples. As you are aware, First Nations history has been passed down through the generations orally, and if we are to lose those languages, we would lose a vital link to the past, the lessons learned, and the wisdom that we have collected. All of us, regardless of ethnic background, can learn a great deal from the teachings of our First Nations. And as my party's critic for Aboriginal Affairs, as well as an MPP who represents nearly 50 First Nation communities in my riding alone, I have been very fortunate to have been able to learn a great deal from those who have been generous enough to share their wisdom with me. Much of the preservation of these languages relies on the supports we provide to preserve it. And I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge today the funding gap that exists between First Nations and non-First Nations education. I want to acknowledge the responsibility that we have here in this legislature as provincial legislators to ensure that that gap is eliminated. So rather than dwell on the negative, I would like to recognize some of the many organizations that are helping in this fight. We all appreciate and understand the role that the Assembly of First Nations, Chiefs of Ontario, treaty organizations, and our First Nations leadership play. But I would like to take a minute to thank the Aboriginal People's Television Network, Aboriginal Voices Magazine, Wind Speaker, Kenora-Rainy, Wawate Communications, and others for the integral roles they play in preserving, teaching, and sharing the languages. I would like to take this opportunity to congratulate Wawate on the decision that they have made recently to reintroduce 7 Magazine, which is a quarterly publication aimed at sharing and promoting First Nations culture among youth. After all, if we are to succeed in the goals of National Aboriginal Languages Day, it is the youth who will ensure the voices, history, and the wisdom of our elders survives. Miigwech.